All right, so as we look at section 4, you remember yesterday FOIL, true? FOIL stands for first, outer or outside, inner, and last. All right, so here we have, we're just going to practice FOIL today, and in the process we're going to hopefully discover some things that might make it easier on us, but the great thing is we can always come back to FOIL. So let's just kind of write FOIL over here. I'm going to write it vertically, okay? F stands for first, O stands for outer or outside, I stands for inner or inside, and L stands for last. So those are the multiplication steps that we're going to have. All right, so most of the problems we're going to do in this section are going to look like this. Two numbers added together or two numbers subtracted and squared. When you get this kind of a problem, whenever you see a squared term, that means you're going to square the entire parentheses. So just rewrite it like this. X plus 7, X plus 7. Because that's what squared means. It means that times itself. Now, let's FOIL. First times first is X squared. Outside, X times 7, 7X. Inside, 7 times X, 7X. Last, 7 times 7, 49. Are there any like terms there? Obviously what? 7x and 7x. We add them together. Please don't say 7x squared. What do we get? 14x. And so our answer is x squared plus 14x plus 49. Katie?
What if we use 14x squared?
No. If you have 4 pens in one hand and 4 pens in the other hand and you add them together, you have 8 pens, not 8 pens squared. True? So you don't change variables when we're adding. The only time we change variables is when we're multiplying. So. All right. Remember I told you this guy looks like the lemon head? I got a package of lemon heads here. So here he is. So see how he kind of looks like him? A little bit? Yeah, work with me. So we have some lemon heads here today for some excellent students. All right, here we go. 2a plus 3 times 2a plus 3. Who feels comfortable with FOIL? All right, Jalon, take it away. Say it all, nice and loud.
2a times 2a
is?
4.
He was getting there.
2a times 3 is 6a.
Good.
And then 3 times 2a.
3 times 2a is?
6a.
Feel free to go a little faster if you want.
3 times 3 is 9.
And 3 times 3 is 9. Wow, I feel like it's on the slow motion there. All right, so we have 4a squared plus, in the middle is? 12a plus 9. So just FOILing. All you need to remember is when it's a parentheses squared, what don't you do? You just don't square the first one and square the last one and call it a day. All right, you can't take that shortcut. That is what I'm begging you and beseeching you not to do. You've got to FOIL. All right, question, Zach.
Those two problems, those are the final answers to trinomials, right?
They are. Yeah, let's talk about that. These answers are trinomials because they have 3 terms. And not only they're trinomials, but if we classify them by degree, they're quadratic trinomials, like Luke said, because the highest degree is 2 on each one. So if I said classify it by degree, you'd say quadratic. If I'd say classify it by the number of terms, you'd say trinomial. Great review. All right, let's practice these. I'm going to draw a line here. This first one's going to be a plus b squared. Who can walk me through it? Someone else. All right, Katie, you got the floor. Go. Nice and loud.
A times a is a squared.
A times a is a squared.
Then a times b is ab.
Is ab. Good.
And then b times a is ba.
Okay, but let's always say alphabetical. Let's say AB.
Okay.
All right?
And then b times b is b squared.
B times B is B squared. All right, so I have A squared plus how many AB?
A squared. A
Okay, I have, pretend this is my blue and my red pen. Okay, I have a blue-red pen set, right? In this hand, and I have a blue-red pen set in this hand. How many blue-red pen sets do I have? Now I have what? 2 sets of blue-red. So if I have AB plus AB, I now have what? How many ABs? 2 AB.
Oh.
All right? So I have 2 AB in the middle plus B squared. So let's do a big squiggly equal sign like that, and there it is. All right, on the opposite side of the squiggly line, here we go. A minus B, the quantity squared. Who says they can do it? Luke, you have the floor, go.
So you do A times A.
Well, I gotta expand it, hold on. All right, go. A times A is?
You get A squared.
Good.
And then you do A times B, and you get AB.
Careful.
Or not negative AB.
Thank you.
And then you go B times A.
Good.
And you get negative. Wait. Yeah.
Which is, we're gonna write as negative AB, because always go alphabetical. Good. And then finally,
Then you do B times B.
I want you to think of this as negative B times negative B
Is positive.
is positive B squared. All right, so give me my final answer. Go. Jelon?
A squared minus 2ab.
Plus? All right, so there we go. That's the answer to A minus B squared.
Do these come combinations? You know what's going to be the same.
Kind of, yeah. And that's our thought on the bottom. Let's see if we can fill in these blanks. It says the square of a binomial is the square of the first term plus, notice what the middle term is. What's there in front of each middle term? 2. So we would say double the product of the first and the last plus the square of the last term. And we're going to talk more about that shortcut in a little bit, but for right now, don't worry too much about that. Okay? Because it's a big idea. All right, coming down here. X plus 11 squared. Now, before we do that, I want to go up to the top. What's x squared? Boom. What's 7 squared? Boom. How do I get this 14?
Because you add 7x plus 7x.
Right? But read what this says here. It says you double the product of the first and the last. What's x times 7?
7x.
Double 7x.
Or 2x.
What's 2a times 3?
6a.
Double 6a.
12.
Do you understand? Now, if you don't get this shortcut, what can you do? You can always FOIL. Ryan, this goes back to what we were talking about before. You can always FOIL. The shortcut is just someone who wants to kind of go a little bit more advanced. Perfectly fine. Either one is good. And I want to show you some of these shortcuts. Okay? X plus 11 squared. That's x squared at the front. I'm going to leave a blank for right now, and plus 121. Where did I get the plus 121 from? 11 squared. Now, the middle term. What's x times 11? 11x. Double it. 22x. So we're going to put a plus 22x in the middle. This shortcut only works when you have a binomial squared. Let's go over here to 4. What's 8x times 8x? 64x squared. Big blank. What's negative 2 times negative 2? Positive 4. Now, middle. Here we go. 8x times negative 2. Negative 16x. Double it. Good. Grace has it. Negative 32x. Now, why is it negative? Because you're doubling a negative, right? When you double a negative, you get just a bigger negative. Why was this first one positive? Because we're doubling a what? A positive. Does everyone see why this back one's 4? Because it's negative 2 what? Squared. What's negative 2 times negative 2? Positive. All right, let's look down at 5. Who can give me the first term? Go ahead, Luke. 16y squared. Excellent. Big blank. Who can give me the last term? John.
Minus 24.
Y minus 25. Y plus 25.
Because you negative.
Okay, a negative times a negative is a positive. Nice catch. All right. Does this mean you want to do the middle, Luke? All right, you got to talk loud and you got to be clear. Go ahead.
Okay, so you do 5 times 4y, and you get negative 20. And then you double it, and you get negative 40y.
All right. I love that answer, but I want to correct you on your verbiage. You said 5 times 4y. I want you to think negative 5 times 4y. It's a tiny little piece. So negative 5 times 4y, like you said, was negative 20y. And then you double it, and you got negative 40y. Excellent job to all three of you. Well done. All right. Last but not least, I give this one because in the past, on the simplest problem of all, I've had difficulties with it later with my students. So, what's the first term? Y times y is? Sydney?
Y squared.
Y squared. Big blank. Sydney, back term?
1.
Plus 1 or minus 1? Plus 1. Now, middle term. Everyone write down what you think the middle term is. We'll come back in 12 seconds. Write down what you think the middle term is. You gotta give me a sign. Is it a plus or minus? All right, Kyle?
Negative 2y.
Do you agree with them?
Yes.
I can still make it plus if I need to.
Yeah, but it's negative.
Why is it negative, Kyle?
Because it's a negative 1.
Okay, it's negative 1 and you're doubling a negative. Excellent job. Now, if you forget this shortcut, what can you do? Foil. All right? Flip the page. Sorry if this is like one of my favorite lessons. I apologize. All right, let's solve the following by using FOIL. And the part 2 says difference of two squares, and then I have a little abbreviation that's called DOTS, which just stands for difference of two squares. That's another acrostic. What do you notice about 7 and 8 in terms of what's being multiplied? How close are they to each other? Yeah. They're exactly the same, except the signs are different. This has a funny special name that I want you to learn. They're called conjugates. Conjugates. And conjugates are binomials. Binomial means how many terms? 2. They're exactly the same, except the middle sign, one's a plus and one's a minus. So these are both examples of conjugates. Look at 9 and 10. Are they conjugates? Yes. Yeah. Conjugates have very special qualities. Watch what happens when we FOIL. What's 2x times 2x? 4x squared. Let's go outside. What's 2x times plus 3? Plus 6x. Inside, negative 3 times 2x. Minus 6x, thank you. And what's minus 3 times plus 3? Times negative 9. Remember, we're timesing here. Does anything combine? Our middle ones do what? They cancel, leaving me an answer of 4x squared minus 9. If I was answering that on the quiz today, I would say that's a binomial that has degree 2. And degree 2 has a special name called quadratic. Sorry if I'm reviewing. Yes, Mr. Dutton?
Is there like a simple way to write that?
I'll get there. What's A times A?
A squared.
What's A times B? Plus or minus? Now, think before you speak. What's negative B times A?
Negative AB.
Thank you. Why was I about to harp on you?
Because I was about to say negative BA.
Good, but you said instead the right thing, negative AB. All right, and what's negative B times positive B? Negative B squared. The temptation, I know sometimes might be to say 2A or 2B, but that's not to be. It's B squared. Come on, I really worked hard to get that one, and I got only like one smile.
I laugh.
All right.
I laugh.
So my answer is A squared minus B squared. Look, is this a square? Is this a square? What's in the middle? We call that the difference, right? This is why the answer is called the difference of two squares. Hence why it's named that. All right, so let's answer some questions. What happens to the middle two terms? They cancel out. Okay? Do they always cancel out? So what pattern do we see as a result? We end up with the first term squared minus the last term squared. Right? Isn't that the pattern? Let's see. What's 2x squared? 4x squared. What's 3 squared? 9. 4x squared minus 9. That's the pattern. Now once again, if you forget this simple little shortcut, what can you always do? Yeah, do the entire thing in FOIL. FOIL always, always, always works. Yeah?
Question.
Uh-huh.
If you have like 4x squared plus y to the third.
Ah, now you just went cubic on me.
Right, so it's cubic.
Right. That would be cubic. But if it was 4y squared, 4x squared, y cubed, without a minus sign in between, now it's 5. Okay, what you're asking, let me go up here. 4x squared plus y cubed. That's a cubic binomial. But if you said 4x squared y cubed, that's a 5th degree monomial. Because on the second one, you add the exponents because this is multiplied together. Here we say, which one's higher? That one's higher. Cubic binomial, 5th degree monomial. Okay? It's really two questions. One's a question about degree, one's a question about the number of terms. It's like saying, what color is your shirt? How many shirts do you have on? It's two completely different questions. Josh.
The question I was saying on the top was like, you know, how we in the first one we have like x plus 7 squared.
Uh-huh.
Well, this one is sort of written out, like, but I was wondering, like, if in any way it could be switched back into like an x plus 7 squared.
Uh-oh. Nope. This is not a binomial squared. Part 1 is binomial squared. Okay? This is binomial squared. Part 2 is conjugates. And they're very related, but very different. Very different. Now, let's look at these bottom 4. And I apologize for how quickly and how easy this will be for you. All right? What's 7x times 7x? 49x squared. What's 5 times 5?
25 minus.
And I put what in the middle? Because this is called the difference of two squares.
Wait, you just went straight to it.
If you understand that they're conjugates, do you need to FOIL? Yeah, now when I say conjugates, we all understand what I'm saying. It's a binomial loop. The only thing different is one's a plus, one's a minus. If they're both pluses, doesn't work. If they're both minuses, doesn't work. It's got to be conjugates.
So you just multiply the first one
Yeah, that's the whole point.
and the second one.
Okay, here we go. Who thinks they can do the shortcut? Grace, go.
9x.
9x squared.
Oh, yeah. And then negative 16.
I like the negative. What's 8 times 8?
Oh, 64.
Excellent. 9x squared minus 64. Well done. Because it's 3x squared and it's 8 squared. Question, Luke?
No.
Oh, you got the next one? All right, go ahead, Luke.
Okay, so you do 6x squared, which becomes 36x squared.
Good.
And then you do 12 times 12, and you get 144.
Which you know because of our squares.
Yeah, you
Okay.
subtract that.
Excellent. Well done. Katie's got the next one.
It would be 2x times 2x, which is 4x squared.
Good.
And then positive 1 multiplied by negative 1, which is negative 1.
There we go. Does this mean on any time we have binomials we can just drop out the middle term? No. When is the only time this works? When they're conjugates. Do you understand how the idea of conjugates becomes crucial? Because if you flip it over to the previous side, these two are not conjugates. All right, these two we got to FOIL. So it's a big, big deal in terms of what's what. All right, down here at the bottom. Little review without looking back. No looking back here. Someone tell me 15 squared. 225. No looking back. 16 squared. Nice. Now, just to do some learning here. 7 times 7 is 49, right? So we know 17 squared ends in a what? Ends in a 9. Ends in a 9. And it is 7 times 4 is 289. It's just got another 7 woven in there. 289. All right? So that's our squares for